Yo, what's going on YouTube? Zach from IT Career Questions slash Zach Talks Tech. Doing something completely different today than I normally would, and I know it's been a while since I've done a live stream. My apologies. Things have been crazy hectic. But today I am doing this live stream, and we're going to take the audio from this and we're going to turn it into a podcast because this will probably be pretty long, and there won't be a lot of interaction from me during the beginning of this. So, without further ado, we are talking today about the history of me. What is my history? Where did I come from? Where did I go? And how did I get to where I am today, basically? And this is definitely behind the scenes type of video that I'm talking about right now, because we're really going to go into more personal things that I never in my life wanted to really share specifically with YouTube or the world as a whole, but we're going to do it anyway because that's what I'm here for. I'm here to help, and I hope that my story helps other people who maybe are struggling with the same stuff or are unsure of what they're doing with their lives. That's what this is for, because I've never really had my stuff together. It took a long time. It took a long time for me to get my life together, to figure out what I was doing with my life, and it's different. So anyway, history of me, and I'm really gonna bring it back to I think where it started and take you through there. I'm not gonna talk about where I started when I was a baby. That's pointless. So I'll talk about my IT type of history and get a little bit through there. Back when I was 12, 13 years old, we had an old, oh gosh, I can't even remember the type of computer it was, but it would always crash on me. Like, it would always just restart, and it drove me nuts all the time because I'd be like playing Minesweeper or whatever, and it would just crash. So just like restart randomly. So I started tinkering with it, started like taking it apart, like seeing, if there was like blown capacitors on there, and I had no idea at the time like what a capacitor was until I started really looking into the different components of the computer. But I was interested because I popped the case open and it intrigued me. I was like, this is so cool, this is so different, like seeing all the parts inside of a computer, and then what happens when it displays on the screen, right? Kind of blew my mind, So that kind of got my interest peaking at that time. And then here's where more of the personal stuff is going to come into play. And again, I hope this helps somebody who may have struggled with the same stuff or is struggling with the same stuff. But let me start first by saying my childhood was great. It was excellent. My parents were great. My parents were together my entire life until my dad passed away about 5 years ago now, which is insane. But anyway, everything was good with my childhood. There was really no complaints. There was no warnings, no anything that would say something is wrong with this kid right here. Like, this kid is screwed up. But I was screwed up, and I didn't know why. So at the age of 14 years old, I was a freshman in high school and played football. I was always into sports. Was a huge sports player. Football, hockey, baseball, whatever it was, I would be playing it. And football was like huge for me. I absolutely loved football, playing it. And freshman year, they wanted to move me up to the varsity football team. And I was like, nah, I don't want to do that. I'm just going to stay with like my other kids my age and stuff. So, it was different. And for whatever reason, at the end of the football season, my freshman year, it was like the last week of the football season, I woke up one morning and I didn't want to wake up. Like, I didn't want to get up. I didn't want to do anything. Like, no reason. And I'm not bringing football into it. I'm just kind of saying, like, this is what was going on. This is like what I vividly remember about this time of my life. I woke up and I didn't want to do anything. Didn't want to go to school. And I just flat out told my parents, like, I don't feel good. Like, I don't feel good. I don't want to go to school. Okay. That went on for a couple weeks before it really became, an issue, obviously, where I didn't leave the house. I didn't want to do anything. I would just sleep all the time. Had no idea what the heck was wrong with me. And it wasn't until my father called the truancy officer on me, which was an interesting thing all in itself. But 14 years old, I'm down in my room, and this police officer comes into my room, truancy officer, and he's talking to me, and I'm just like, yeah, whatever, dude. I don't really care what you have to say. Like, I don't want to do anything. So he has this conversation with my parents afterwards that, he's like, your son looks depressed. Like, he looks depressed. I've seen this many times. He looks depressed. So my mom took me, and, we did all the stuff that you would normally do for somebody who would be in a position like that, like trying to figure out what's wrong. Went to lots of doctors and things like that, and was diagnosed with depression, anxiety at the age of 14. And needless to say, I never went back to school. I tried a couple times through until I was like 16 or so, and by a couple times, like literally like a couple times, where I would go to school. So did not complete high school in the true fashion of graduating from a high school and receiving that actual physical diploma. Was not me. I did not do anything from the time I was 14 to like 19 years old. The only thing that I did do was go on computers. That's what I did. I turned into a complete and utter nerd. And that's where I taught myself everything that I know about computers, at that time. And that's how my IT interest and all that kind of started. I started doing websites at the age of 15, taught myself HTML and all that fun stuff. And that's all I did. From the time I was 14 to, basically like 21 years old, I did like the website stuff, but I didn't do anything. Like, 19 was really the year that like changed my life in a lot of ways. And again, this is something that I don't necessarily want to share with anybody, and it's whatever at this point, because now I'm going to be 34 years old next month, in the beginning of June. And now I'm talking about a time when I was 19, so like over 10 years ago. It's a long time. But anyway, 19 years old, I was on like tons of medications and stuff like this, trying to manage like this depression. Like, what's wrong with this guy? Like, what's wrong with this kid? He doesn't do anything. Throw a bunch of pills at him, right? He'll be fine. I was never fine, like ever. I was never okay. I was never in a good position. I hated my life. I did a video about this last year, and probably put a link in the description for that later. But I did a video kind of about myself suffering from depression and all that. But at 19, what changed my life was one day I just decided, like, I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna hang out with one of my friends, a childhood friend. I still talk to this day. Is my best friend. Like, hey man, like, I just want to get out of the house for a little bit. I haven't really done anything for a very long time, but let's hang out. So I hang out with him, and there's this other guy there, and he turned into another very, very good friend. But him and I aren't friends anymore. But the three of us started hanging out, a little bit more consistently, because we were all nerds. We were all like really interested in games and stuff like that. But we all had our little different levels of nerdness. But anyway, this guy was like, hey, let's. And again, this is where this comes into play, where I don't necessarily want to talk about it, but I'm going to talk about it. He's like, hey man, let's go smoke some weed. I'm like, what? Like, no, I don't do that, man. Like, I don't do that at all. Like, that, I was totally against it. Like, totally, like, straight edge. Like, screw drugs, screw alcohol, screw all that stuff. And he's like, no, man, you'll feel good. It'll be fine. Like, you'll be good. Blah blah blah. Peer pressure is a terrible, terrible thing. Let me tell you. Like, peer pressure sucks. And a lot of people in high school and all that have to deal with that. Even in college, you have to deal with that. Even in your adult life, you deal with peer pressure. But anyway, I got peer pressured into it, and it was one thing that changed my life for the good. And there are a lot of valuable medical reasons that marijuana is good for you, right? It totally can be great for you, right? For me, it worked in a way where it helped my anxiety. Now, of course, doing that, like, you get other kinds of anxieties, right? For me, it really just kind of lifted my anxiety and lifted a lot of my worries. And that was something that I, again, dealt with from the time I was 14 to 19 years old. And I was finally able to, like, go out. I was finally able to, like, get out of my house and not care what anybody thought about me. And again, that's another thing that really, one reason why I never wanted to leave the house is because I always worried what people thought about me. Like, you know, I was fat. I'm still fat, right? I worried about that. Like, I always, like, thought people were looking at me. And again, that's part of the anxiety and all the depression and stuff and all the crap that I was going through. But I worried about that all the time. Like, it drove me insane. Like, it literally, you know, I couldn't do a thing because that's what I worried about. I thought about it. Anytime I had to go out of the house, like, that's what I thought about. Like, that dude's staring at me. He's looking at me because I'm fat and, like, whatever else, you know? Like, that's what I thought. Like, those were the thoughts that were running through my head. And, you know, so we did this. We smoked some pot or whatever, and then I didn't stop smoking pot until I was, like, 25 or something like that. But it helped. Like, I stopped taking all of my medicines. And, like, that's what I did. Like, I wouldn't say I abused it or anything like that, but it was something that helped me deal with whatever was going on up here in my head. And maybe it wasn't the fact that that's what I did. Maybe it's just, it was something that I was able to just take a refresher, you know, take a different look on life. And I'm not trying to advocate for it in any way whatsoever. It obviously has its medical purposes for cancer and people who are dealing with pain and things like that. Totally would advocate for those people. I try to convince my dad every single day to smoke some weed, because he had bone marrow cancer and he was always in just constant pain, and that went on for 3 or 4 years, and especially like the last year or two of his life, like, he was in constant pain. Nothing made it better. He was just miserable, and I'm like, Dad, just go smoke some weed, man. You'll feel so much better. Like, you'll get an appetite. He was doing, like, chemo, his kidneys shut down, he was doing dialysis. Like, he was miserable. And I knew if he would have done that, like, he would have just had a better quality of life. Like, it would have been a little bit better. And at that point, when, like, you're literally dying, any little bit helps, right? Like, anything that you can do helps. But anyway, we won't go. We'll get off that one real quick, because it's super depressing for me, and I don't want to be depressed right now. But anyway, so doing that at 19 years old really changed my life, but it didn't make everything better, right? I don't want to say like it made everything better. It made me have a new perspective on life. It made me think about things differently. It made me stop worrying what people thought about me. And that was huge for me. Now I don't care what people think about me at all. Like, clearly, like, I'm on YouTube, where YouTube is like the bane of people's existence, and people just come on YouTube to flame you and things like that. And people talk crap about me all the time. I get comments constantly like, hey, what's up, fatty? Blah, 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 blah. I don't want to listen to this fat guy talking. It doesn't bother me. I really don't care anymore. Like, I am who I am, and I'm happy now. But anyway, we'll keep going. We'll get to some of that stuff as we go on. But, once I was 19, I started, like, actually working, because I didn't really work before. I tried to work, but I couldn't, because I couldn't be consistent. I wasn't a very consistent person. I wasn't a very reliable person. I was not reliable at all. Started working. I actually started working for a school district at that time. And before that, I was doing a little bit of work for the school district also, but again, wasn't consistent, wasn't reliable, so it was kind of, here nor there, right? But I got involved with computers, working for that school district also, and that kind of helped build my career, build my interest in IT. So from there, um, you know, let's say it was 21 when my parents moved away. They moved to Florida. So they completely, like, at that time, like, I felt like, oh my gosh, my parents are deserting me. This is absolutely terrible. I did not have my life together at all. 21 years old, I was just a complete delinquent, right? Uh, no motivation in my life to do anything still. I felt a lot better. Like, I felt much better than I had in previous years, but I still wasn't better. Like, I still wasn't right. I was still having issues, and I was still very inconsistent and didn't do anything. You know, when my parents moved to Florida, that was like the worst thing of my entire life at that time, and that changed me, like, drastically, because for about 6 months, uh, they were in Florida. I was still here in Illinois, and I was trying to hack it on my own, and I couldn't do it, so I had to go move in with my parents in Florida. Total life changer right there. Total life changer. I actually moved to and from Illinois, like Illinois, Florida, 3 different times. And the last time that I came back to Illinois, I was 25 years old. 20, yeah, 25. And in between the time from I was 21 to 25, I moved to and from Florida 3 times. Didn't have my life together, had nothing together. Again, no ambitions for the world. I started consulting during that time, which made it very nice for me because I was able to reach out to small businesses and to residential customers and fix their computers, fix whatever issues they had. I learned some networking during that time, server configuration, built a couple servers for small businesses and things like that. And it's just a lot of consulting, really, during that time on the IT front here. When I turned 26 and I was living in Florida, I had met a woman, and we were together 3 months. And let's see, I was 25 when we met. 25 when we met. No, 26. Sorry, I'm terrible. 26 when we met. Yeah. Yep, 20. Okay, sorry. I had to make sure I had it right. Maybe I was just about to turn 25. Or 26, I mean. But anyway, 26 years old, I met this girl. We were together 3 whole months, and she got pregnant. And she's like, well, we're going to keep the baby. I'm going to keep the baby because I don't want to do anything else. I'm like, okay, that's fine. I've always wanted to be a dad. That was one thing about my life that I've always wanted, even through my darkest of times. And believe me, I've had many, many dark times where, like, the thought of ending my life was like a daily occurrence. It was like an hourly occurrence because I was so completely miserable with myself, with what I was doing, where I was. Completely dark. Terrible. But I always knew, like, if I can make it through this, if I can get through where I'm at right now, like these dark times, like, I want to be a dad. Like, I know if I can, like, help somebody else, like, help a child that's like mine, like, it will change me. It will make me much, much better. And it did. Like, having a daughter, she was born 2011. She just turned 7, like, 5 days ago, last Thursday. Yeah, last Thursday. And unbelievable the way that another human being could change you in such a way that really just blows you away, honestly. I would say once I knew, like, that this girl was pregnant, I knew that I had a kid coming, like, my whole perspective on life changed. Like, the thoughts and feelings that I had about my life and where I was started to change. Because life was no longer about me. And life is not about me. I have 3 kids now. 3 kids now. And life is not about me. I have to make sure that my kids are taken care of. That my kids are bathed, clothed, fed, and all of that. You know what I mean? Like, that's what's important to me. Like, I'm not important, essentially, right? That's important. Like, that's what drives me. Having kids, again, blew me away. Just totally changed my life. So, excuse me, 26 years old, my daughter's born, and I had no job at that time. I actually, the day that she was born, was offered a job at a school district for their IT department. The day that she was born. So that was the greatest day of my life on many different like wavelengths and for many different reasons. When I got that job at the school district, it was a large school district, and all the jobs I had before, as far as I'm concerned, when I look back at that now, what I was doing before with my life was just like, was BS. It was complete like BS. You know, I did what I did, and I tried to get by the most minimal way that I possibly could. I tried to live my life. I mean, I basically lived my life as a complete loser, but I got by. I had a lot of help from my friends, tons of help from my friends, from my family. Couldn't done it without my friends and family. You know, they helped me in so many ways, and you know, I helped them in ways, but I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for my mom, my dad, you know, my brother and his fiance, and some of the friends that I have. You know, some of the friends that I have really, you know, if I needed a place to crash, the guy could go crash there. You know, I can go crash on their couch. I lived with a few of my friends. You know, it's a crazy thing to think about. Excuse me, I'm sorry. But 2011, my daughter's born, and I get this great job offer for a school district where I'm essentially running the entire district, right? The only tech support person for the entire district. And it was 6 schools, and it was only about 3,400 kids, but 6 schools. Like, I was in charge of that. Total game changer for me. Total complete game changer. Sorry. Probably need to get water. But anyway, that, from having a daughter to getting this great job offer, running a school district, huge, man. I learned so much during that first year that my daughter was born, that I was working for the school district, that I didn't have time to think about myself. I never had time to think about what I was doing and what was going on in my head. And I think that's the biggest thing to kind of learn, because that's a really important part of this entire conversation that I'm having with you all, is keeping yourself busy and learning constantly and trying to be involved in something that isn't about you can really change your life, like, in the most powerful way. Again, I didn't have time to think about any of the issues that I had. You know, I was able to, and then anytime I did think about that, with what I had going on with a kid and with a new job and all that, I thought about things differently. I was able to put a new perspective on things, you know? That's important. You know, that's different. And I didn't understand it at the time, of course. You know, I just kind of like, whatever, living my life, blah, blah, blah. And then in 2013, my daughter's was just about to turn 2 years old. My dad passed away. And it was kind of coming for a while, you know. Again, he had bone marrow cancer. He was on dialysis because his kidney shut down. He was, you know, so doing chemo and dialysis for like a year. And my mom always said, like, with the type of cancer that he has, if he ever gets sick, like just some kind of sickness, and then like an infection is involved, like, he could die. And I was just like, you know, this is my dad, you know, like, nothing's going to happen to my dad. Like, I grew up watching my dad do everything. You know, he was huge inspiration for me and a lot of things that I'm currently doing with my life right now. And, never could have thought, like, my dad's not going to get sick, you know, like, that's not going to happen. Like, he got cancer, okay, but he'll be okay, right? Like, he'll be fine. But no, you know, so he wasn't. He got sick. The infection spread through his body, essentially, and he went into cardiac arrest, and he passed away. Worst day of my entire life. I remember in 2013, I had just started a new job at another school district that was much, much larger than the one I was working at. I was in charge of their high school. Their high school alone had 3,300 kids. It was the biggest high school I've ever seen in my entire life. But anyway, started working there, whatever. And I was only there for 4 months, and it was an hour and a half drive. It was an hour and a half drive from where I was. I get the phone call, April 17th, 2013. My mom calls me at it was 7 o'clock in the morning. No, 6:45, I think, in the morning. I'm on my way to work, and she says, "Your dad didn't make it." I'm like, "What? What are you talking about?" Like, completely threw me by surprise. And she never usually calls me in the morning. She's like, "Zach, your dad passed away this morning." And I just, went completely blank. Couldn't say anything, couldn't do anything. And I'm driving, and I'm like, lots of bad words, coming out of my mouth. The worst news I have ever gotten so far in my life, So anyway, I turn my car around, go back home, because I got to get my daughter and get her mom, because we book a flight, go down to Florida, and do all that. And obviously it's just terrible, right? But a couple weeks go by, and I'm doing okay, right? I'm seemingly doing okay, but I wasn't. I wasn't okay. My dad passing away totally caught me by surprise. And you never think that one of your parents are gonna die, because they're your parents and they're the strongest people that right? If you have good parents, I know not everybody has great parents. I was fortunate enough to have really awesome parents and a really awesome dad. We never saw eye to eye for a long time until he got sick, but that's a whole different story. That could be a whole different podcast, YouTube live stream. But anyway, I was not okay. So a month after my dad dies, I don't want to wake up. Don't want to get out of bed. I don't want to go to work. And again, work is an hour and a half away. So that month after my dad died, and I'm driving to work every day, it's an hour and a half drive. It's an hour and a half where I have nothing to do but think of what's going on with my life and think of where I'm at. I wasn't happy with my mom's daughter. We were fighting all the time, even before my dad died. That was just a terrible relationship, because we were only together 3 months, and my kid was born. And here I am driving to work, an hour and a half one way, stewing in my thoughts, working, trying to work, driving an hour and a half home, stewing in my thoughts again, completely miserable. And I stopped going to work. I did. I just literally, I was so depressed and upset and unhappy with my life again. And I thought everything was fine. I thought everything was changed with my life, but it wasn't. Things happen, and it can totally throw your world apart. I thought for the last 2 years of my life at that point, I was good, I was great, things were going fine, there's trouble on the home front, but I was still doing everything that I needed to do. I was completely wrong. my excuse me, my dad passing away just, it threw me for a loop, and stopped going to work. I lost that job. They fired me. That was the only job that I've been fired from, and for a good reason. I was just not all there. I was not a happy person. Actually got into many arguments with my boss, and where I was not essentially yelling at her back and forth, but just being a complete jerk. So it was best for me, it was best for where I was at in my life, that I go through hardships, that I go through something that I don't wish upon anybody. I don't want anybody to lose their parent, of course. And I don't want anybody to get fired from a job because of what they're going through, what they're struggling with. But here I am, like, struggling, and I went through all this stuff, right? It was the worst year of my life. It was literally, honestly, the worst year of my life. My dad passes away in April. I lose my job in August because I tried to make it work for a long time after my dad passed away at this job, you know. Lose my job in August, and in October, my daughter's mother and I split up. She kicks me out of her house. She's like, you got to get out of this house. Like, we're done. Get out. I don't care what you do. Just get out. It's like, wow. Like, that totally, like, just blew my world away. Like, here, my dad passes away. I lose my job, and now I'm getting kicked out of my house, and me and my baby mama split. Terrible. Terrible. But the best things that ever happened to me because of that. And that's the only way that you can look at the negative things in your life and the negative crap that you have to deal with and go through. If you don't look at those negative things and those terrible things that you go through as a life changer, a game changer for you, and you see things from a new perspective, you're going to have a bad time, right? Like, you're just going to be completely miserable. You'll get nowhere. But, you know, after all this stuff happened, after each thing happened, and I took a look at it, and I was like, all right, here's what I've learned from this, and here's what I learned from that, and this is what I have to do with my life now because I have a daughter. And I can't go anywhere. I can't do anything. I always wanted to be a dad, and I started to piece my life back together. You know, started to piece it back together slowly. It took me about 5 months to get a job after I got fired. And the job was actually an hour away, which is kind of funny. But I went through that job for a while, and then a job opened up here where I'm at now, at a hospital, right? And it was where my daughter was, and I was living an hour away from my daughter, and I just could not handle that. Like, I could not handle being that far away from my daughter. And I tried to see her as often as I possibly could because that's who I want to be. I want to be an active dad. I want to be in my kid's life. Nobody can stop me from doing that, right? So this job opens up here in town. I apply for it. I get the job, which that was like the craziest thing because I go in for this interview with who my boss was, you know, whatever. And he's like, okay, you know, at the end of the interview, it's like, I'm going on vacation for 3 weeks, so you're not going to hear back from me for 3 weeks. I was like, oh, well, all right. I mean, that's fine, whatever. You know, I was already working anyway, so I didn't desperately need a job. But I was kind of hoping that I got this job because it would bring me back home to my kid. So the next day I get a phone call from the hospital, and they're like, hey, we want to offer you the job. And I'm like, what the heck? Like, really? Like, they said that you weren't going to call me back for like 3 weeks. Like, oh no, like we really want to hire you, you know, blah, blah, blah. Like, all right, done. Like, let's get it done. That was one of the best things that happened for me in my life. And moved back here. Things were great. Things are still pretty good. And I met my now fiance at the hospital, and she has a wonderful daughter. And, you know, just last June we had a child together. So now, here I am, you know, like all these years later, and I'm okay, you know, I'm fine. Like, I made it through all this stuff, right? I made it through like all these hardships, and I tried everything that I possibly could do to make my life better. And what really, I think, changed for me was finding a purpose. Like, that's something that I never had, you know, even with like my kids, like that was my purpose, right? But I still like wasn't essentially fulfilled with my life. I still wasn't where I wanted to be and doing what I wanted to do. I always knew like I wanted to help people, and that's partly like why working in IT, like why I wanted to work in IT, because I knew I was helping people, but I was also using my skills and abilities from like the tech side of things to help people. You know, like I struggled for so long and people helped me, and I always tried to help people back the best way that I could, but I never knew how because I didn't have anything. And I couldn't offer anything to these people who were helping me, you know, because again, I had nothing. But I knew, like, I want to help people. That's what I did. You know, working in IT, help people, which is great. Working in the school districts, amazing feeling helping, you know, students, teachers. Working for a hospital where your job literally revolves around saving lives, right? Not directly, of course, right? But some of the stuff that I do could essentially affect a human being's life. So I knew I'm helping people, right? In 2015, I started this channel. Started this YouTube channel. I started, first I started as PC Simplest, right? And I wanted to help old people. Like, that was my target. Like, my target market was old people. Excuse me, because old people just suck at computers. Terrible at computers. They have no idea what the heck they're doing. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to make these super simple tutorial videos so that old people know what they're doing. They can figure it out by watching this video because it's going to be so simple. And if you guys go back to the very first, like, 6 videos I did or whatever, like, they're the most basic, terrible videos, like, ever. But it was there to help people. Like, I wanted to help people. And then one day in my car, like, thinking about IT and thinking about, like, how I got where I got, like, thinking about all the years that I've been involved in the field, in the industry. And I was like, I'm going to do this video, like, you know, things to know before you get into IT. Because I think the day before somebody was saying that their kid wanted to get into IT. And they're like, you know, do you have any advice? And I was like, yeah, here's a couple things, whatever. But driving in my car, driving to go see a friend, hour-and-a-half drive, like, I'm going to do this video. I'm going to record this video. Things to know before getting into IT. That's still one of my most popular videos that I have on this channel. Because it's just real. It's real. Like, here's what you should know. This is the real deal. This is like the real deal Evander Holyfield stuff right here, guys. Like, that's what it was. It's just real talk. And I saw purpose. I was like, wow, like, people are interested in this. So I start looking on YouTube, like, who does stuff like this? And there really wasn't, like, anybody. Wasn't a lot of people. They weren't specifically focused on it. I was like, this is what I'm going to do. I am going to help people in this way. I'm going to help people who want to work in IT. And that's what started it, really. That got me here, you know. Now I help, you know, hundreds of thousands of people a month, which is just, I absolutely, it blows my mind. Seriously, it blows me away. And I don't even know how to take it. I don't know how to feel about that sometimes because it's insane. Like, here I am, I had this idea, and it's turned into this other idea, but I knew I wanted to help people. And that's what I'm doing. I'm helping people. And that, to me, is the most fulfilling thing of my life. Helping people. And I do that in so many more ways now than just with YouTube. You know, I do it with, like, my photography stuff and with some marketing stuff for people. I just want to help people. I want to help whoever I can because it makes me feel like I have a purpose. It makes me feel like my life, you know, is legit. And if I could have saw that and felt that, you know, 20 years ago, literally 20 years ago now as I think about it, when I went through all the crap that I did, like, if I would have just had a purpose and had a vision or saw something that could make a difference, I might not be where I am today. Maybe I would have been better. You know, maybe I would have been a better person. Maybe I wouldn't have been as depressed. Or maybe I could have got through all the issues and stuff that I went through at that time because I found this purpose. And that kind of brings me to, like, again, what I'm trying to reach here, why I'm doing this video, why I'm talking about this stuff. Because I feel like if you guys and girls find a purpose within your life, find something that you want to do, that you're passionate about, that feeds you, right? That you get fulfillment out of, do it. Like, just do it. Like, that's the best thing that I could possibly say about it is just do it. And this isn't a Nike commercial. This is like the real crap right now. Find something that gives you a purpose. Find something that gives you everything that you want from your life. You know, it's insane. It's insane how something like that can change you. And going to school, getting certifications, whatever that might be. If IT is really something that you might take in that perspective, do it. And if IT isn't that for you, do what would be. You know, go volunteer. You know, do something that helps somebody besides you, because you'll feel so much better about your life. But having a purpose and knowing kind of what you're working for in your life will totally change you. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. You know, like the last few years, that's all I've really focused on, is helping people and reaching people to change their life. Because I wish I would have had this years ago. I wish I would have had somebody who I could have watched on YouTube that could have gave me a new perspective on my life, who could have shared their story and what they went through and how they got there. You know, maybe that would have helped me in some way. And I hope by me doing this, it helps somebody in some way. Because you guys can do anything that you put your mind to, and you guys can get through anything. And sometimes going through the struggles, the hardships, the crap in your life, it makes you a stronger person. But you always have to remember, like, I'm a stronger person. I'm stronger than depression. I'm stronger than whatever's going on. And I know at the time it's hard to think about, but when I went through it, like, I was always like, I got to get through this. I'm going to get through this. Like, I'm going to get my way through this. Like, I'm going to figure it out. The hardest thing in my life, trying to basically tell yourself that as you're battling with demons in your head. Like, it's impossible, right? But that's all I could ever do, is like, I'm going to get through this. One day, things are going to be better. One day, I'm going to be okay. One day, I'll be happy. You have to tell yourself that stuff sometimes. That's what I told myself. That's how I got through a lot of what I got through, because I kept telling myself, even at the darkest of times, like, I'm going to get through this one day. Like, it's not always going to be like this. It's not always going to be like this. And it's not. You know, I know tomorrow, if my mom died, heaven forbid, I love my mom to death. My mom's my best friend. I'll be the first person to admit that. I don't care. Total mama's boy, whatever. You can call me whatever. I don't care. My mom's my best friend. I call her every single day, sometimes multiple times a day. I know if she died tomorrow, I'd be devastated. But I know that I can't let that stop me from doing everything else that I need to do. Like when my dad died and it stopped me from doing everything that I had to do, I learned from that. You know, I learned from that. So taking those bad stuff again and learning from it, figuring out how can you learn from these mistakes, or not necessarily mistakes, I'm sorry, but how can you learn from these negative experiences and impact your life in a positive way. So that was really all that I wanted to talk about in this kind of video. It's like, here's my history, and here's, you know, where I am now. And the last couple of weeks, you know, I haven't done live streams. I just haven't been all there, you know, like, I've been fine. I'm happy. Like, I'm good. Completely stressed out. You know, I did a video, I don't know, the other week where I said, like, I'm stressed out and whatnot. Trying to get everything that I need to do done. You know, I stay at home with a 10-month-old baby, and he doesn't let me really get anything done. So it's really difficult to do everything that I need to do. And that, you know, that took a toll on me the last few weeks. It really took a toll on me. You know, I was still doing some of the things that I needed to do, but I wasn't 100% focused on everything that I needed to do because I was overwhelmed. And it wasn't until a few days ago where I just started to see, like, what's going on and what I need to do, what I need to change, and what I need to make different, and not let, you know, the fact that some things aren't going my way, like, get the best of me. So that's me also trying to say, like, I'm going to try to do more live streams. I'm going to try to be here more, you know, posting more videos. You know, last week I didn't post any videos. Maybe like one or two last week, right? Maybe one. I don't know. But I was so busy with all this other crap, and anytime I had a free moment, I didn't do anything. Anytime I had a free moment, I would just sit down. I would just chill, not do anything. That was terrible. So now, the last 2 days or so, like anytime I have a free moment, like I'm trying to figure out what I need to do next, plan out my next endeavor, plan out my next video, and or record my next video, edit some videos or photos, whatever the case may be, because I have to constantly be moving. So that's today's live stream, and I'm sorry if you did not you didn't like this, you didn't appreciate it. It is what it is. I hope this helps somebody. That's it. That's all I got. I'm gonna go check out some of these comments over here, since it's been so long since I've looked. Oh man, I don't even know if half these people are still here. I have no idea. If you're still here, just say something in chat. Oh man, I don't know why my live stream is going haywire here. I don't know if it's doing that for you guys too, but it's freaking out for me. Let's see. Going through chat. If you guys are still here, let me know. Just say something in chat, so that way if you had a question or said something, like, I can answer you. Duan, are you still here, bro? What's going on, Reed? How are you? Daniel, you liked it something. Oh, something. You were saying something. Gotcha, bro. Cool. Well, thank you guys for watching and listening. And I know it's a completely different thing than I would normally do on this channel, but here to give some people an idea on, where I've been, especially the people who like watch my stuff all the time. People who watch my videos often probably would appreciate this or like it, enjoy it. Who knows? I don't know. It's just something that I had to do. Something that I felt like I had to share. I actually tried to record this in a video the other day, and I couldn't. I got like, 30 minutes into it, and I was like, I can't do this. But I knew that I could do it. So I was like, I'm going to force myself to do it on a live stream, because that's the only way that I'll do it. That's the only way that I'll get through it and have it make any sense. So that's it. Anyway, whoever is here in the live stream, you guys have any questions or anything for me? Want to talk about anything specific? Because I got a few minutes here, and totally love to chat with you guys and talk to you if you want. Why? I don't know why this live stream is freaking out. I'm getting like warnings here. Tons of... My stream health is terrible. Dakota, bro, you don't have to do that, bro. Daniel, thank you, Dakota, and you are welcome for what I do, but you don't have to do that. Daniel, you're just relaxing, going through your 901 stuff for tomorrow. Good luck to you. What are you currently utilizing to go through your stuff? What are you studying from? A book? Videos? What's the deal? Matthew, you're welcome. Thanks for joining me on this adventure. Yeah, YouTube does have some different stuff. Yeah, thank you, Dakota. That's cool, man. I appreciate that. You definitely don't have to do that since you are a member of my Patreon. You don't have to, do the super chats. You're already giving me super chats over on Patreon. Speaking of which, I won't plug it. I won't plug Patreon. Not today. No plugging of the Patreon today. But there is one. So I guess I did plug it. Anyway. Sam McDonald learned that the worst thing to do after the death of a family member is to try to resume as if nothing has happened, to let grief pass a bit before trying to recover. You validated that lesson. Yes, you're welcome. Yeah, it's terrible. Yeah, definitely learned a lot from that. 'Cause I totally just went on like nothing happened. It's like, nah, forget it. Whatever. Life goes on, right? But it doesn't. And it doesn't because I didn't deal with it. And it bit me right in the butt. You have a lot of Daniel. You have a lot of material for your 901 Mike Myers books, and just too many laughing your butt off. I don't know that. Is that a book? Is LMAO a book? I thought that was a band. Isn't LMAO a band, or is that LMFAO or whatever? I don't know. I think they were like a one-hit wonder. I don't hear anything about them anymore. Dakota, you say huge motivation. Bro, I don't know about that. But if it was motivating, then good. LMBO is the band YouTube Kappa. What? LMBO? I don't know who that is. No idea who LMBO is. Lambo? Like the car? But anyway, I think that's all I got for you guys today for this live stream. I'm going to put this up on the podcast. Laughing my butt off. Oh, gotcha. Sorry. Slow today. Anyway, I'm going to put this up on the podcast, which is on Podbean, or you can go to ZachTalksTech.com, which takes you, or not. I thought that, you have to go to www.ZachTalksTech.com. Then it works. There we go. So yeah, www.ZachTalksTech.com. That'll take you right to the podcast page. And as soon as YouTube is done doing all their crap with encoding this video, once it finishes, I will download it and I'll put it up on the Podbean for a podcast. So that'll be cool. And plug all my stuff so everybody knows. So you can find me on Twitter at PC Simplest. You can find me on Facebook, IT Career Questions. You can, I did the Zach Talks Tech. Let's see. You can find me on LinkedIn if you just search for Zach Hill, ZACHHILL. Hit me up on LinkedIn. I'll add you. We'll make that connection. And then Patreon. Let's talk about Patreon, because even though I said I wouldn't, we're going to talk about Patreon. Because I do hope that people join that. I hope that it becomes useful. You know what I mean? Like, I hope that it's not just for waste. People have asked me about it. But anyway, Patreon. Patreon.com/IT Career Questions. That's the one. That's the Patreon. There's only 2 tiers, and a $1 tier and a $5 tier. That's it. It's really cheap. Like, it's super cheap, but you do get benefits from it. And I would like to have a more interactive audience. You know, I want to have more interactions with everybody. I want to help everybody a little bit more, and see what we can do. You know, I have a lot of new content that I recorded. I'm not even kidding you when I tell you I have like 14 videos. I had to count and make sure. 14 videos that have to be edited. Some of those are tutorials. Spoiler alert. Ooh, tutorials. And some of it's just, other stuff. The enterprise stuff, I have a video that's already uploaded on YouTube right now for, I believe it was cloud stuff. I'm pretty sure. Yep. It's called Making Money with the Cloud. AWS, Azure, and Google. So that will go live tonight. Like late tonight, because I always publish my videos late. So stay tuned for that if you guys are interested in the cloud, because the cloud is becoming ever so, relevant. There'll be a lot more videos related to some of these cloud services. And then I have another video that I'm trying to edit here real soon. I don't know what I'm going to title it yet. I really don't. It's like a IT manager type of video. So if you're interested in being an IT manager, managing a department, managing some staff, that video would be perfect for you. So anyway, that's all I got for you guys today. I'm sorry that it took me so long to close out of this. CS Chicago, how are you doing? It's good to see you. And I'm leaving. So you guys can rewatch this or check it out on the podcast where it's just audio. So when you're driving for, how long is this live streaming going on? 55 minutes. If you have a 55-minute drive and you're looking to listen to something, here you go. But anyway, that's all I got for you guys today. We will try to do another live stream. I'm hoping this week. That's really my plan, is to get more live streams in. Again, all the crap that I went through lately, it's been difficult for me to hone in on this. So we'll get that going again, because I want to make sure that all you guys are getting everything that you need answered and things like that. So anyway, as always, take it easy. There you are. There it is. All right, cool. There, take it easy.